All right, and we'll do a little screen share. All right, welcome everybody. CImpact training, as we're already hearing, people are loving the new platform. Thank you, Abigail, for that little commercial in the beginning of this session. So nice to hear that it's a lot simpler and a lot more streamlined to use. So I'm very excited to hear that. I'm Sarah Borden. I'm the program manager of Community Impact. Catherine Von Hafen is on the call today as well, Director of Community Impact. And we're here to launch the new CImpact portal. So just another welcome and a kind of a reminder of some of the benefits that you're going to see in this portal. It's going to be a lot easier to do applications and RFP processes because we'll have your previous applications and answers all in one location. The data entry for reporting demographics, performance measures, and narratives should be streamlined. There will be no more spreadsheets, yay, for budgets. They will all be included in this platform as one form and easily linkable. And you're going to be able to see all your communications in one place and track your awards over time. And you'll have full agency control, and it will be automatically reminded each time we have a new process to update your contact information. So if we have a new RFP process that goes out there, you'll get a reminder, and maybe you have some new staff that you need to update, and you'll get that reminder every time you log in. It won't be every time you're logging in for the impact report. That would be really annoying. So it's just per process. And so thank you again for coming today and just kind of joining in this journey together. We're really excited to launch it and make your lives easier. So the agenda today, we're going to go over the CImpact basics of the portal. So accessing the CImpact portal. We're going to go over your community partner profile prompt that happens right when you log in. We're going to go over the agency homepage site and the agency information, where you can find that and update it yourself. We also have a resource center with handy PDF documents that will have screenshots and step-by-step instructions on how to enter your impact report data and just overall accessing your CImpact portal. And we'll go over the help and feedback as well. Then we'll do just a live demo real quick on how to access the portal. And then we'll switch back to the later half of the training where we're going to talk about the impact report itself. We'll go over the impact report overview, when it's due. We've switched, instead of quarterly, we're now 2 times a year. So we can celebrate that as well. We'll go over the different parts of the impact report. We basically now combined the data entry with the narratives. So it's just going to be twice a year. We're going to be asking you to just give us your impact in that all in one. And so we'll go over program targets, relevant updates to your programs, demographics. We created equitable data capture measures, performance measures. We're going to have a new introduction to a different concept that wasn't in CImpact called outcome statements. And we'll go over your program budget, the narrative for the budget, and the story behind the curve with a photo. The photo will not be required. And you have to get permission, on your end to use the photo because it'll be used for social media posts. And if your program doesn't allow photos, we understand that. So then I can show you how to mark that complete and skip that step. In the impact report, you'll be able to see your form status throughout the whole process. As Abigail was saying, yes, it's easy. It does save your work as you go. So if you do have to step away for 15 minutes and come back, it will be there. The saving options that we have, and how to submit your impact report. There's also some great printing options to make it easier for all the different program areas that you're working with if you have multiple programs funded by Berkshire United Way. And so we can show you how to do that as well. And then at the end will be a nice Q&A session. All right, so accessing CImpact, everybody, there's one primary contact per agency. So the primary contact has received an email with this link. I suggest that you bookmark this link to make it easy to access down the road, 6 months down the road, 4 months down the road. And the preferred browsers are Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, and Safari. I've tried them on Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome. I haven't tried it on Safari yet, so if you're running into any trouble, please. So we sent out an email welcoming everybody to the primary contacts, and your username is your email address, and then your password was PWD, all lowercase, 123. Once you're in the portal, you'll be able to request logins for any other staff members that you have that you want access to this portal. There is no limitation. So that's one of the beauties of this new platform. I know with CImpact, we only had 28 user licenses and they kept charging us for every user license. This has no limit. So you can add as many staff as you want and request as many logins as you'd like. For the community partner profile prompt, once you're logging in, you'll be prompted to review your information. So this will be at the agency level where you can review information such as your EIN number, your web address, social media links, physical address, email, and phone number. And then once you review that information and you feel comfortable and that's accurate, you can click continue and you'll be reviewing your contacts. So this again you can go over all the contacts. We had some that we knew. If there's been personnel changes, you can delete a contact, you can add a new contact. And then right next to anyone that doesn't have a login, it'll have a request login next to their name where you can send them login information. So for instance, Nancy, thank you. You're a great example. You were the primary contact and you requested a login for Erin, so she has access to the portal. And just so you know what they're going to receive on the other end, this is the auto-generated email that comes from CImpact. So they get a link. It'll have their email address as a username and then an auto-generated password, and they'll be prompted to change their password once they get in. So then after that, you're going to be landing on your agency home site. What's really cool is that right at the top of the page, we have our Berkshire United Way logo, but in the right-hand corner, there's a few links. They're very faint, but you can see them bigger on the screen, on the other screen, for our United Way website, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, our LinkedIn, and our GuideStar. So it's a nice little shortcut to get to all of those links right at the top of the page to the right-hand corner. And then just some common navigation, which I know Abigail was already raving about on the page. Whenever you're in a form or in a page, there are some save and update features. Your save and update will refresh the page while saving any changes made to your data. Your save and return to previous page updates the data and returns you to the previous page. And then if you're just viewing the page and you just kind of want to see, but you don't want to enter any data yet, you can take a look and then cancel and return to the previous page. So you'll see those links at the bottom of each of the forms that you have to fill out. And it's just a nice, easy way to navigate the site. It does auto save for you. So as you're entering data, and again, if you walk away, you'll see an auto save, a little green a notification comes up and it says automatically saved. It happens about every 10 to 15 seconds for you. It's really nice. And you don't have to sit there watching something spin as you just entered one number. Our agency site homepage has 4 distinct areas. So when you get to the home page, you're going to see first your account management area. So you'll see up in the left-hand corner, my user profile. So that's anything related to your user account. If you have a change in phone number or an extension, you can update your information there. If you need to change your password again, you can change your password as well. And it should say hello and your name next to it. If it says any other name, please contact me. So second is the left-hand navigation menu. You're going to see your agency information. So you'll have the home page, your community partner profile, which is where you'll be reviewing your EIN number and your website links, your contacts, if there's a link right there as well, and your mission statement and vision statements. We tend to use this a lot with our volunteers when we're compiling information together about the different agencies. And then there'll be in your program profile section will be the programs that are funded from Berkshire United Way. So double check that. And then agency email history as well. So you can see all the correspondence that are coming back and forth. There is, if you notice in the screenshot, there's an events schedule that is not turned on for you yet. Somebody was very smart and already logged in and said, hey, I don't see this. So that's hasn't been turned on. When you have your site visits, that will be turned on for you. Right now, you'll have your news. So any news items that we're going to push out, will be generating an email for that, but it will also have further information on the page under news. So you'll see a nice welcome message. And then we have our apply report area. So this is where you're going to find any RFP applications and or impact reports, and they'll be labeled accordingly. And then finally, on the left-hand navigation menu, we have a resource center. That's where you're going to be able to find those PDF documents with the screenshots and oh, and this is pretty much the same thing I just said about the agency information. The only thing I wanted to point out is if your program profiles, if you're changing your name of your program, that's something you can't do yourself. I have to do that on the back end. So just reach out to me and I can change your program name. The Resource Center will have the 2 training manuals in PDF form, so you can download those and print those. And if you need any help and if you want to give any feedback about the new platform, you can do so. So if you need technical support, please reach out to me, at my Berkshire United Way email. And this is my personal cell phone as well. So if you're really stuck, you can call me. We can troubleshoot with the phone. And I wanted to point out there is a little feedback slide over basically on the platform, and it doesn't go directly to me. It actually goes to the CImpact administrators. So if you're looking to give some feedback about the platform or maybe a new feature, you can do that, but they do note in there if you're looking to get some technical support to contact me right away. So just note that little quirk. All right, so let's see CImpact in action. All right. So this is our agency homepage. I'm going to put in my username, which is my email address, and PWD, all lowercase, 123. That's what I got in my welcome email.
I'm still seeing the PowerPoint, not the website.
That happens from time to time. Okay, thank you. Share. Let's try that again. Are you able to see it now?
Yes.
The website? Okay.
Yep, thanks.
Welcome. All right, and you'll see it prompts me right away to change my password. So I'm going to do so. Change password. I'm gonna click over this. I'm gonna minimize you all. All right, and so it comes right to a community profile prompt. So this is where you're going to take a look at your information. You should see your agency name here. You're going to see an EIN number. I have it blank right now for you. If your early education and care centers are accredited, you can add those accreditations right in that area as well. You're also going to see your staff liaison for Berkshire United Way. So Karen Von Hafen is all your staff liaisons, but we're both very accessible. And you'll have a primary contact for your agency. You want to review your website links, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, LinkedIn, GuideStars. It's also good to take a look at the address and the main phone number. And if you have an email address that's maybe different from the primary contact, like an info@Berkshire United Way, you want to make sure you do that as well. So if all that information is correct, you're going to click continue. And then you'll be prompted to your contacts. And so you'll be able to review the contacts that we have already. If you want to add somebody, delete somebody, you can click no and update the information. Or if it's correct, you can click continue. Then you're back at the home page. So here's that home page I was talking about. And you can see the links right up in the top here. Those all on the right-hand side, those all link to United Way websites, Facebook, Twitter, and social media accounts. You have your welcome message here. And then you have your links on the side. So you can see your community partner profile And this is where you can make some changes. You have your contacts. And so here's where, this is the page you would actually request a login right next to the staff member. So if you had somebody that didn't have a login yet, that's where you would do it. You can add new by clicking the plus sign here. You can edit or delete people using the action links on the side, on the right-hand side. You can double check your mission statement, make sure it's accurate. If you just went through a rebrand, feel free to update it by clicking edit. And you'll see all the programs that Berkshire United Way is currently funding. For us, the test agency, I have a test program for each impact area. So early childhood development, economic prosperity, positive youth development, and resource coordination. It's pretty much BIM right now. And this is really neat too. So you'll be able to see all your agency email histories and correspondence that you've received. So if you can't find that email in your Outlook or your Gmail inbox, you can come here and open and view it again. Then I wanted to point out the Resource Center. Here are those training manuals where you can click on the PDF and download them. And it'll have a table of contents and screenshots with step-by-step instructions. Easily printable. All right, I'm just going to take a pulse check. Any questions so far? Okay, let's move on to the impact report, right? That's where we're probably going to have questions. To the PowerPoint. All right, so our impact reports, we are getting rid of that quarterly reporting process. And is it the data you need? Is it the narratives you need? Nope, it's all going to be combined into one and twice a year. So you'll see this in the new contracts that'll actually be going out later today. We're sending out the award letters and contracts for the next fiscal year coming up later today. So what's due this year is by July 15th is your year-end impact report. And what we'll do is we're going to be naming the impact reports by reporting year. So you'll see impact report 2021 to 2022. This will be cumulative data that you want to make sure that you're entering. So from July 1 all the way to June 30th for the 2022. Add it all together, and that's what we want reported out on. By completing these impact reports, we're going to get both qualitative and quantitative data that really helps tell the story of our three main impact areas for Berkshire United Way. So early childhood development, positive youth development, and economic prosperity. These are aggregated results, so they all roll up, and we share these results with donors, legislative advocacy groups, and then throughout Berkshire County for public education. So we really appreciate your participation. Hoping to make this a lot easier. So there's two ways of accessing the impact report. You can go to the left-hand navigation menu and click on the link, or there you saw in the apply report that welcome to the impact report for 21-22. You see
Sarah,
the yep.
Excuse me, Sarah, do you want to go back into CImpact for folks?
Oh, can you see my PowerPoint?
No.
Oh,
nope.
It's the sharing again. I apologize. Hold on. Thank you. This is why she's on. From current slide. All right, can you see the PowerPoint now? We'll back up a little bit. Okay, how's that? Is that better? Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry about that. So there are two ways to access your impact report, the left-hand navigation menu where there's a link on the side, and then the apply report section in the body of the home page, where it'll actually give you a nice little pie chart as to how complete you are in your report, or if you haven't started yet, you can click here to get started on your impact report. Both ways take you to the impact report and the landing page. We'll do a live demo in just a second. The impact report is organized into our impact areas, so early childhood development, positive youth development, and economic prosperity. So if you have more than one program funded by Berkshire United Way, you're going to see more than one impact report. You're going to see one for each of those programs. Your program name is going to be next to the impact area. So it would say early childhood development, your early education and care program. And then you'll see the following links for the impact report underneath each section. So you'll have your program targets, demographics, your performance measures, budget, your narrative, and the story behind the curve, each of the links. So I'm just going to go over each of those links a little bit, and then we're going to see it live in action. So for your program targets and updates, this is where we want you to enter the number of individuals you served by your program. And we have a pre-populated goal from your original RFP. I know we've had some conversations with some programs, so if the goal did adjust and you're thinking it's not the correct number, just give me a shout and we can make sure that that number is correct so your percentage is calculating correctly for you. After you enter your program targets, we're going to have a set of questions where we're getting just kind of some updates from the programs. You know, how is your COVID protocols going? Are you still facing challenges? Are you getting back to in-person? How's your DEIB work coming along? We're looking to get a pulse on certain topics. And so these may change over time as we start to look at different initiatives together. Your demographics area, we've included more equitable data capture. So for instance, gender now includes your trans categories and non-binary categories as well, and gender non-conforming. We have our age ranges that have adjusted a little bit more in line with our early education and care programs, as well as our positive youth program age ranges. And then our race and ethnicity has been updated to align with the census, as well as household income. And then our geographic areas are now by zip code. And if you don't have the zip code, don't fret. I know Pittsfield has 3 different zip codes. You can enter your data into the top one for the Pittsfield area if you don't have it by zip code. But I like it by zip code because it makes it a lot easier just to add everything and do a pivot table real quick. And just a reminder again that these are going to be cumulative totals. So your 6-month report out would be July 1 to December 31st, and your end of year report will be July 1 to June 30th. Then the next, yep, go ahead.
Can I ask a quick question? So
Yeah.
Does that mean that we don't have to ask any more than for highest level of education attained?
Correct.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. That's not a measure we're counting at this point. Yep. So then we move on to performance measures and outcome statements. So it's going to look a little different from your Clear Impact portal and what we were reporting on as performance measures. Really, a performance measure is a statistical measure that informs your outcome statement, what you intend for your program. So what is an outcome statement? An outcome statement describes the changes in people due to the services you're providing. So they're very client focused, and it typically has 3 parts to its sentence structure. So if you think of an outcome statement, think of designing it in a way that is looking at your target group, the group you're hoping to serve through your program, then the present tense verb, what will change, what will happen to this group, and then what you want to happen as the desired outcome for your clients. So an example is children achieve milestones in language development. That would be an outcome statement. So in CImpact, you're going to see outcome statements, and then you're going to see your performance measure or indicator, as it's also called. The performance measure and indicator is your measurable statistic. So that tells us the percent change of what happened. So typically that sentence begins with a measurable number. So you'll see percent of children achieving milestones in language development. This will allow you now to enter your data and automatically calculate that percentage, where before in Clear Impact, you really couldn't see the math that was happening in the background. So you were entering your number of people, and you weren't really sure how that equation really happened. So I love CImpact because it really kind of puts it all together for you in one screenshot, as you'll see at the bottom of the screen. You'll see your outcome statement, children achieve milestones in language development. You'll see the performance measure as the percent of children achieving. And now you know where to enter your data. You want to enter your current data for the number of children enrolled in your program, and then the number that's achieving this performance measure. We have some projected numbers again from your RFP, which I know we've all had, some side conversations. So if you're not seeing the data being accurate, please reach out to me and I'll make sure I update that for you so we can get some accurate percentages. But it's really interesting to see what you projected and then what you come in at the end of the year. Did you reach your 90% that you wanted to? Were you better than that? Were you below that? And then going forward, you'll be able to see your mid-year results, and we'll have some other columns and other data that you've already previously entered into the system. So you can kind of see that trend over time. In the PDF instructions in the Resource Center, I created an Appendix A, which is a translation manual table from what CImpact had as performance measures and what they turned into in CImpact. So trying to keep this is kind of our stopgap until we get our strategic planning process in place, where we start reaching out and kind of find a little bit more meaningful outcome statements and measures to help us tell our story. But right now we have converted those statements, those performance measure statements from the CImpact into the CImpact outcome statements and performance measures. So for example, we had to enter the number of children progressing or maintaining an appropriate language development. That turned into the outcome statement of children achieving milestones in language development. How do we measure that? Well, we want to know the percent of children achieving milestones in language development. And when you entered your number of children enrolled in programming in the previous portal, which was the denominator of the equation, which I'm not sure everybody realized, that would be your number enrolled in the program, your data entry requirements, and then the number achieving. So hopefully this helps you. There's a translation for each of those performance measures, and that'll help you kind of guide your way through that. In order to enter the data, you're going to click the little edit icon with the pencil next to it and enter your cumulative data totals again. Then you're going to have your budget, program budget, and your narrative pieces, your links in the impact report. The program budget is going to take place of that budget spreadsheet, so you won't have to do that anymore. Under revenue, there are some areas to itemize any local or state and federal grant money that you're receiving. So you can enter a line item in for all of those. For both revenue and expenses, there's also an other category where you can itemize additional sources. So you can line this up now with your financial institution and how you're tracking expenses and revenue. Make it really customized for you instead of trying to fit it into the other way. You're going to enter your current year budget, and then you'll be entering your actual amounts for comparison. So what revenue you actually brought in at the end of the year and what expenses went out at the end of the year as well. And then the surplus and deficit will automatically calculate for you. Then the next link is a program budget narrative. We at United Way just want to know how these funds are being used in your program. Are they being used for salary lines, program supplies, transportation costs? It's about a half a page narrative, about 1750 character limits. And we'll just want that filled out as well. And then I know we're all familiar with the story behind the curve narrative. So this is your success story of an individual or family that was affected by your work. These are the stories we're going to be pulling to share with donors, our legislative advocacy groups, and the public. You can create aliases to keep the identity of those you are writing about private and confidential. You can use initials or just use a whole nother name. And then if you have a photo and are able to upload a photo, we would love a photo that matches your story. And we can use that. That'll go out on our website and social media and reports as well. Please ensure you have permission. So this is going to be on the agency side and the program side, that you have permission to use this photo, and then you can upload it. So as you're clicking through all of those links for your impact report for your program, you're going to have some statuses at the top of the bar. You'll be able to see what you've started, what you're in progress, what's ready to submit. And then for each individual link, you have a status column as well. So you'll be able to go back and kind of see, and this is what updates that pie chart on your homepage as well. You have some great saving options. So you can save my work, you can save and work my work and return to previous page. Save my work and mark as completed is what you're going to need to do for every single one of those links before you submit. If you don't have that clicked, it won't let you submit. So just make sure you click that third option and go through each of those links. And then just return to the overview page if you're just taking a look. So when you're ready to submit, again, they really kind of hone this in on us. Make sure you save my work and mark as completed. When you see that save my work and mark as completed, you'll see the status change to completed, ready to submit. That's what you want for every single one of your links before you can submit. And when you're ready to submit, you're gonna, so once all of those are completed, this page will just pop up for you. And it says, submit this impact report now, and you will get your executive director or your director of development to sign off on that and type their name in. You can send the confirmation email to that director, or I recommend sending it to yourself and then forwarding it. So I put my own email address in there, and I put Tom Bernard's name in there. And then check that I certified this information on the impact report is true and correct to the best of my knowledge. And hit the red submit button. Once you submit, everything will be green for you, ready to go. And you'll see that you're in submitted status. You'll get a nice little thank you message. Thank you for submitting your impact report. And you'll get a confirmation email as well that you've completed your report. And then of course, there's great printing options. So nice and easy, right in the right-hand side, you can view a printable version of your entire impact report. So if you're the grant writer or kind of the primary contact for an agency that has multiple programs, you may want the whole entire one. If you're going to save off individual programs for the program directors to save, you can uncheck the include on the last column on the right-hand side under options. So you can include, uncheck them, check them, and save them off individually as well. All right, so let's see this in action. And I will remember to share my screen again. So share. There we go. All right, can everybody see the screen? Great, okay, good. All right, so we're back on the home page. And remember, there are two ways to get to this impact report. I can go over here and click on the link, or I can see that there's an announcement. Yes, the impact report is ready to start working on, and I can click here to continue working on my impact report. It's going to get me to the landing page where we'll have some instructions for you. Again, they're basic instructions about saving your work, and you want to make sure each of those links are save my work and mark completed before you submit. You will need executive director approval, and you will receive a confirmation email upon submission. Also, there's a nice little printable version here. If you want to print that out ahead of time as you're working with your teams, you can get into that printed document, and you can either print it, you can save as PDF or export it. You'll be able to see all your answers and questions ready to go. It's a nice little tool to use while you're working with your teams. So here's my impact report. I have multiple programs. I already filled out my economic prosperity, my positive youth program, and my resource coordination program. So I'm going to use the early childhood development program as my test. Going to click on that first link. You're going to see your program name and the impact area that it falls under. So if we are changing any of the impact area focus, if we're going from early childhood and we're noticing we're changing to positive youth development, we can start changing that here. And this is where you're going to fill out your targets. So this again, it has a nice little reminder for your cumulative totals, July 1 to June 30th. I'm going to say we had 105 individuals served by my early childhood education program. Our goal was 100, but we're now at 105%. Then we have some narrative questions that we're just looking to get a pulse on again. You know, how are you reaching your participants in your program? If you could type out a small little paragraph about that. Did you reach your program targets? This is a yes, no question. If you didn't reach your targets, we'd love to just kind of hear from you. What were some of the challenges that you faced? You know, was a classroom closed, or was it staffing issues and you couldn't serve as many as you wanted? You can put that explanation here. Then we're gathering some program updates. What are your COVID modifications? Are you continuing in your program going forward? And then we're looking for some more of that DEIB work, what kind of work you're doing with your board staff and volunteers. Again, DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And then what kind of DEIB work are you doing to improve your services for your families and individuals? So once that's all completed and you've entered some data, you can either save my work if you're not ready to mark it complete, but if you feel confident, I would save my work and mark it complete. Now you'll see in the status column, completed, ready to submit, and that's what you want for each of these links. So let's go into demographics. Again, I had that 105 was my number that I served for my program. You want to make sure you enter that target right at the top, because what this form does for you is auto balances. So as you're divvying up your population that you serve for, say, gender, you can enter 70 males, 30 females, maybe 5 non-binary. If you forgot the non-binary category and you only had 100, an error message is going to come up because it doesn't match the 105 number at the top. We'll just put 5 unknown answered. And then you're going to do that for age ranges, race and ethnicity. It's now separated out. And household income. We have an unknown, unanswered area for all of these categories. And then geography. So again, geography is by zip code and it's in alphabetical order by town for every town in Berkshire United Way.
Hi, Sarah. Erin has a question.
Sure. Go ahead, Erin.
I just wanted, before we got too far, could you go back to the last page and just, can you talk a little bit about the differentiation on the DEIB questions that you had?
Oh, yes, definitely. So
like what, I mean, obviously we understand the work. I guess I would.
Yeah, so
No, I
there's,
guess, go ahead.
So there's you'll probably have a plan like with your board and your staff and your volunteers for trainings for DEIB. That's not necessarily your outside audience. So that's why we have these 2 different questions. And so the bottom question, you know, to improve services for the families and the individuals served, maybe a different type, like maybe you're updating some program information to be, you have both Spanish and English now available, or things along those lines. So yeah, it's more of your internal plan and your external plan. Does that make sense?
It does. I guess I feel like the work that we do with the staff and the board is how we're improving our work.
Right. It does
that we're
trickle down.
doing. Right. So those might be pretty similar answers.
And that's okay too.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
All right. So I don't know if you noticed, but I had a little handy dandy switch form to go back. So here's another little shortcut to get through the links of your progress report as well. So back to the demographics, and I think we were on geography. Yep, so it's in alpha order for Berkshire County. So you can enter in your data that way. And what's really cool is that you don't have to worry about entering the data for the county total. So we separated the the northern Berkshire County, central Berkshire County, southern Berkshire County, and outside of Berkshire County totals for you. So those will automatically calculate as you're entering your data. And we do have an outside Berkshire County area to enter as well. So you can just kind of add those people up that kind of fall outside of that realm. And then you can see Berkshire County versus outside Berkshire County as well. So that's kind of interesting if you do serve different areas outside the county. And what do we want to do? We want to save my work and mark it complete. All right. Performance measures and outcomes. So here's that. Here are those outcome statements. So you're going to see the outcome statements and then your performance measure percentage and where you can enter your data here. So you're going to click on the edit. Sorry, I still have the data entered in from this morning, but this would be blank for you. And you would enter your 105 enrolled in the program and say, I got 90 children out of the 105 that are achieving milestones in social and emotional development. So I'm going to enter that 90 number and it will automatically calculate that percent achieving for you. You're going to scroll to the bottom, save my work and mark complete once you enter those pieces. And you'll do that for each outcome statement. You'll see a little green check comes by when you save it. So let's enter that again. 5. And I'm going to say we had 87 children achieving milestones in language development. So let's see, that's complete. And this is that 2-generational question that we still have for outcomes. So how many adults that were participating in activities with children at least 3 times per week, whether they were reading, telling stories, singing songs, sharing ideas. So you can put your number of adults. If your RFP said 200, maybe we actually had 190. How many were participating? We had 100% participation. So I'm going to put 190 in there and I'm going to save and mark complete. So now you see a green check next to all my outcome statements that I've entered in my current information and what my projected was. You can kind of see a nice little comparison. And to save this area, you have to save my work and mark complete again. So this one is a twice in a row. And then you'll come back and you'll see complete and ready to submit. On to the program budget. You're going to enter your Berkshire United Way funding, what you actually received and what you budgeted for. Maybe you thought you were going to get 30,000 from Berkshire United Way, but you got 25. You'll make sure you put those numbers in correctly for your actual versus your budget. And here's what's really nice is that you can really itemize your local government grants. So say you got a CDBG grant. What your actual came in, we applied for 15,000, but we got 10. Maybe you got some local ARPA money, you can put that in there. That was a bonus. We didn't even put that in the budget this year. And save your work. What it'll do is it will add up for you on the home page of the budget. And this is program budget, not agency budget. You can enter. Yep.
I'm sorry, I have a question about the budget page.
Yeah.
So I see that the budget column is not pre-populated. So when we submitted our application, we provided a budget.
Yeah.
But this is asking us to re-enter all of that. It's not going to be pre-populated.
No, we didn't pre-populate it at this time. You'll see that going forward. So that's the beauty of this platform. Is that the data rollovers are very easy. So once you enter it once, and so this unfortunately will be your first time entering it all in again, then we'll be able to roll over that data for the next mid-year cycle. And so you won't have to keep entering your budget going forward.
Okay. So then one other question about that. So then to enter the actuals, so by the time this report is due, or at least, we're starting to work on it now, and it's, goes through the end of the fiscal year, obviously, till June 30th. So our actuals for everything will really not be finalized by the time this report is due. So
Correct.
what do you suggest about that? I mean, are we?
Yeah. So your best estimates, I think, would be is perfectly fine. I understand that, you know, especially to do that 2-week turnaround, the July 15th turnaround, we may look at deadlines coming up later on in the year, but yeah, it's a quick turnaround for the end of the year. But estimates are fine. So if you have if you're working with your finance team and it's not finalized, but you have some program estimates that you can plop in there, I think that would be great. Anything to add, Catherine?
No, I think you did it great. Estimate is fine.
Okay, good. Yep. And so, and then of course, we're trying to make it easier for you to align with your finance department. So you can click on the other and add those itemized line items that you see for your financial software that sits out. So if you have some other revenue that you want to put in there and you want to label it exactly the same, you can do that. And same with expenses. You can put some other expenses in there as well. And on the revenue side, so you can, you know, itemize your local, state, and federal government grants. We also have a line for foundations, so private foundation money that you're receiving, and a line for contributions and donations. Those are private donations from donors if you're fundraising in that way. Program service fees, events, legacies and bequests, any other revenue streams, you can enter here. And of course, you can click the other to itemize as well. Same with expenses. You got your salaries and then your employee benefits, including payroll tax, your equipment rental and maintenance, your membership due fees, any program supplies, consultants, professional fees, technology, phone, occupancy, transportation, travel, conferences, and other. And it'll automatically calculate for you with the total expense, and then you'll have your surplus deficit, so you can kind of see how well you did against your budget. Were we over? Were we under? And you can kind of have that as we work forward. So then you're going to want to save my work and mark as complete. Then you can go to the budget narrative, enter how you're, you know, using our Berkshire United Way funds. Is it supplies? Is it transportation? Is it staffing? You can save your work, mark as complete. And then you have your story behind the curve of an individual or family that was affected by your work. And these are all just half the pages. They're only 1750 for character limits. So nice and short and sweet. Make sure you save my work, mark as complete. And if you have a photo attachment, you can do that there. You don't have to upload a photo. If you're going to skip this step, you can just save upload attachments and mark as complete. If you're going to actually add a photo, we have our file types there, the GIF, the JPEGs, and you can choose a file and then find it on your P drive or your shared drive. So we're going to save and mark as complete. And so now you'll see everything is completed and ready to submit. And what pops up is the message that great work, you're ready to submit your report. So you're going to type in your executive director's name. You're going to put in, I put in my own email because I'm going to forward this on to my executive director after I'm done. I'm going to check the checkbox and certify this information is true. And then I'm going to submit this impact report now. And then you get a nice little thank you message and everything will be green for you and submitted. What's great is too, if you have, if you realized, oh shoot, I entered the wrong data and I already submitted, just contact me. I can open up any one of these links and just say that it's not submitted and we can go back in and enter that data, and or I can change it on the back end, whatever you prefer. So that's kind of nice. And again, once you're done, it's great to, you know, have that printable version that you can save on your own share drive with all your answers, and you'll have them for the future. If you decide that you want to save or print off a version for each program, you know, you can uncheck these boxes normally. And do that. Not quite sure why that's not working right now. Probably because I submitted. Well, usually you can uncheck these, and what will happen is this whole area will turn gray and it won't be included in your printout. So I'll double check that and see why that's not working. All right, and so then you're done, you're completed, and you can always go back to this impact report in your side navigation. You can go to your home page. Once your impact report is submitted, you'll notice it's no longer on your home page because you've completed that task. So we get that right off your home page for you automatically. And that's it. So I'm going to stop my screen share. Any questions? Hopefully that's going to save you a lot more time and effort. I know for the programs that have more than one, it could be long, but.
So Sarah, I have a couple of quick questions about the specifics of, so the completed, ready to submit checkoff. So once you hit that, can you still make changes, or does that mean it's finalized?
It's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
So before you've hit submit, but it says completed, ready to submit, that's a point where there's no more changes can be made.
Oh, you're talking about the individual link. Nope, you
Yes.
can go back in there and make changes. It's only after you hit that red submit button at the end, the total end, that you can't change anything else. But you could actually go back and go, oh shoot, I didn't enter that correctly, even though it says ready and completed and ready to submit. You can go back in there, change the data, and then save my work and mark completed again. Yep, it's only after that red button at the end that you can't change anything else.
Okay.
And really, you can, because you just need to contact Sarah directly.
Right.
She can go in the
But-
back door and make tweaks.
But
Right.
without contacting you, we can still do it on our own up until that point.
Correct.
And then the other question is just what's behind what do you really mean by getting the executive director to sign off on this? What's behind that? I mean, are you expecting that that the executive director is going to go in and look at this platform?
The executive
sign
director
off?
doesn't need to go into the platform and look at it, but what we do want is at least there's been some eyes on your program submission. So I would expect, each of the program areas to be working with their executive directors, that they're in the know about their measures and the budget that they're submitting, for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Sarah, I have a question. For the character limit, does that include spaces?
It does.
Okay, thank you.
I know. Character limits were the bane of my existence when I was doing grants. Right, Erin?
I actually have another question. So you've talked about cumulative, that for the year end, of course, it's a cumulative number, but you haven't mentioned unduplicated. And I know that for us gets to be a sticky question in certain programs. So, I could give you an example of what I mean, or you can tell me if you have an answer first. What would you prefer?
Yeah, give me an example.
So the example is in our mentoring program, for example. We work with a number of students. So over the course of the whole year, we may have it. So mentoring, as you know, right? You measure by if you have at least a year-long relationship, then that's what you're targeting. So during the course of that year, we may have, let's say, so by the end of the year, we may say, okay, we have 50 matches. And yet during the course of the year, we may have, students may have come and gone. And so we may have worked with, 25 one quarter and 35 another quarter, and different numbers at each quarter. And so over the course of the year, some of those will be the same student that we worked with over the course of the year. And in other cases, we will have worked with different students because some will have come and gone.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what are you looking for in terms of that unduplicated number at the end of the year?
Yeah, we want the touch points. So you had 25 people in your first quarter, you had 30 people in your second quarter, you're adding those up. But if that person was in the first quarter, not the second quarter, but then coming back in the third quarter, you don't want to count that duplicate, right? Because they were already counted in that first quarter. Does that make sense?
But that's a touch point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but
Yep.
but that's a touch point because we worked with them in two different
And if it
time
is
periods.
a different capacity, then you may want to count them again. So I think maybe we could talk a little bit about that
Okay.
for the mentoring program, because yeah, it's not necessarily a duplicate if they're coming back in a different capacity, right, for the program.
Yeah, but it's also a matter of resources. You know, are they using staff resources and other resources
Right.
at different points in the program that still we may want to count that. We may want to make sure that that gets figured in.
Yeah. And I think I don't know, Catherine, what do you think from your past experience? But I think each individual touch point really says a lot about the program, but I understand the whole duplicate thing, it's.
So from my past experience, trying not to duplicate, but I think, if there's special circumstances, you can clarify that in a narrative, and we can probably also talk offline. If each of you have maybe more specific program related challenges, we can certainly work with you as best we can. But I think there's certainly an opportunity to clarify your targets within the report as well.
Great, thank you.
Great questions. Thank you. Any other questions?
I just want to thank Sarah. She's worked really hard on pulling this all together, and I hope that you all will feel the increased efficiencies, less time suck on your end, so that you can really focus on what you should be focusing on, which is delivering excellent services. So again, I just want to thank everybody for what you do, and certainly if you have another question after this, please do reach out. Sarah and I can always work with you to get the answers that you need. So thanks everybody, and thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. This has been wonderful. And so this recording will be sent out a little later this week.
Great. Thanks so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Take
Have a
care.
great day.
You too.